Whether it's the Shack or the Pack, the Moon, the Suns, or the Stars, get into the real things, the authentic stuff. Get into Sports Illustrated Insider Authentics, the catalog that gets you into the game for real. Insider Authentics takes you into the locker room to suit up like the pros. Whatever your team, college or pro, you'll get issued what they get issued. It's exactly what the players and coaches wear with NFL Pro Line, Major League Baseball's Diamond Collection, NBA Authentics, and the NHL Center Collection. Insider Authentics gives you all the big names in the big games: Apex, Champion, Starter, Russell, and others. They feature the same fabrics, cuts, and logos used by the professional and college teams. Sweatshirts, t-shirts, shorts, and jerseys that can take a pounding and still look like a hero. It's quality that's unbeatable. It's Sports Illustrated Insider Authentics. Call this toll-free number now to get into it with a free catalog. It's where you find all the stuff that's hard to find. It's where you can get into it all without going out. And you get it all on time with express delivery that won't keep you waiting. Plus, you can order the sports videos that capture the excitement of the event, the teams, the stars. You'll also get inside the world of sports celebrities through signed helmets, balls, and covers. These items are limited, so call now for a free catalog. Ask how you can join the Insiders Club and save 10% on all purchases. Plus, you'll receive 2 free videos. Watch for Insiders Authentics ads in Sports Illustrated. Get inside with royalty, the mighty, the biggest, and the best. It's great stuff. Call for a free catalog and get inside with Sports Illustrated Insider Authentics.
Hi, I'm Peter King of Sports Illustrated. Along with my colleague Michael Silver, it's my pleasure to introduce the 1995 Cleveland Browns Video Yearbook.
In this Sports Illustrated special presentation, we're going to give you an exclusive look at Cleveland Browns football, past, present, and future.
And we're going to start with a review of the 1994 Browns season, a highlight package we call Back to the Playoffs. That's just where they were, Mike, for the first time in 5 years last year. I want to take you back to another point in recent Browns history, the wooing of Reggie White. 2.5 years ago, they were falling all over themselves trying to recruit Reggie White as a free agent, the first big-name free agent. Turns out to be the best move they never made, because with the money they would have had to spend on Reggie White, the $3.5 million a year, if they had landed him, they have spent on a crop of free agents who've helped them collectively far more. Don Griffin solidified him at cornerback. Pepper Johnson has turned into a Pro Bowl inside linebacker, even though he was unjustifiably not picked last year. Carl Banks, another linebacker. Benny Thompson, a great special teams player. And Vinny Testaverde, satisfactory quarterback. I think you add all those guys up and you have an 11-win team. Now they take the next step and go for Andre Rison. How do you think Rison's going to fit in, Mike?
Money well spent this time. I know he was expensive, but when you have a chance to get a big-name, big-time receiver like Rison, I think you've got to go for it. He's a guy who gets into the end zone a lot. He wants the ball. He wanted to be the man. He's going to get his chance.
And now we're going to find out if Vinny Testaverde, with the talent, can finally take a team to the Super Bowl. These are just some of the things we're about to see. For in addition to 1994 highlights, we've also got a preview of the 1995 Browns season, as well as a special trip down memory lane in our Browns Classic segment.
That segment will feature profiles of 3 Hall of Fame running backs, Marion Motley, Leroy Kelly, and the great Jim Brown.
So without further ado, Sports Illustrated proudly presents the 1995 Cleveland Browns Video Yearbook.
In 1994, the Cleveland Browns returned to the playoffs for the first time in 5 years. A visit to Pittsburgh, their second in 4 games, ended their season.
We control the tempo in our home, baby. Let's go.
On 2nd and 9, and straight back he goes. He's going to throw it down the right sideline. The pass is caught. No, it's dropped by Derek Alexander. He was wide open. 3rd down and 9. He's straight back. And he steps forward. And he throws the ball to the near sideline on the comeback. It's dropped by Derek Alexander 2 times in a row.
Holy smokes! This Derek Alexander, the rookie, he seems to have a bad case of playoff butterfly.
Couple drop balls, we're fine, all right? Don't panic. Hey, we've been here before. Just stick to your knitting out there. Keep playing hard. We're doing some good things in the run game. Keep the protections on. We're going to start catching, and we're going to convert, all right? Just keep your poise out there.
Now they fake the end around again, and they're going to throw it down the field. There's a man running, but he's not open. And the pass is intercepted by the Steelers at the 2-yard line. Darren Perry with an unbelievable over-the-shoulder interception.
The Browns were soundly beaten in all phases of the game and decisively demonstrated the third time was definitely not the charm.
It's been all Pittsburgh here today.
It's been all ugly here today.
Very.
The tough-to-take defeat didn't detract from what had been the finest season of the Bill Belichick era, a year of major improvements in many areas of the team. It was a year in which a young offensive line allowed a league-low 14 sacks. It was a year when a pair of #1 draft picks became budding stars. It was a year a hard-hitting defense gave up the fewest points in the NFL. 9 opponents scored only a single touchdown, as the defense permitted just 22 all season. It was a year Cleveland's special teams were ranked the best in pro football. They blocked beautifully, covered well, and scored 4 touchdowns. It was a year the team rediscovered the running game.
Touchdown, Brown! Leroy Horde would not be tonight.
It was a year the Browns won 12 games and returned to the NFL postseason playoffs. Cincinnati was the site of the opener, where Leroy Horde scored the first touchdown of the new season for Cleveland. Then Bill Belichick became the first coach to call,
From the hold of Tom Tupa, they go for 2-2.
and Tom Tupa the first player to score a 2-point conversion.
Oh my, what a play! Say to the reach bomb.
Cleveland special teams continued to pile up points, with 2 touchdown returns in a span of 3.5 minutes. It included the longest punt return in Browns history.
Caldwell, 15, 20, sidesteps a man, sideline, 30, 40, 50.
He's gone.
All the way for a touchdown. Eric Metcalf, 92-yard punt return. We got to get the Bengals to kick as often as possible today here, Doug. Baldwin takes it at his 16, comes to the right, 30, 35, now back up midfield, breaks clear, 50, 45, 40. He's across the 30, one man to beat, stutter step, 10, 5, touchdown, Cleveland Browns, 84 yards, Randy Baldwin. Oh my, there was some jitterbugging there.
Cleveland's first win of the new season was special indeed. Unfortunately, the home opener was a penalty-plagued affair with Pittsburgh, capped by a picture-perfect pass from Vinny Testaverde that could have won the game. A questionable holding call wiped out the play, and the Steelers won. 7 days later, the stadium on the shores of Lake Erie was the site for Throwback Sunday, a sun-splashed old-timers game with the Phoenix Cardinals.
Hey, what better place to play an old-time game in Cleveland Stadium? There's a lot of tradition on this field, like the days when Jim Brown was playing.
Ready for a good one. The dog pound is ready. The defense is ready. Offense is gonna kick a little, you know what. Let's get this show on the road.
From opening kickoff to final gun, defense ruled the day, as Cleveland picked off 3 passes, then broke the game open with a pair of the longest plays in club history.
Vinny straight back in the pocket, three-step drop, throws it complete to Alexander. 25, 30, 40, 45, 50, he's going. Touchdown, Cleveland Browns, an 81-yard touchdown pass to the rookie, Derek Alexander, who gets his first taste of the dog pound.
Derek Alexander's 81-yard sideline streak was a prelude to Eric Turner's 93-yard touchdown interception.
Raiders straight back under pressure, throws a little looper, and Eric Turner intercepts 15, 20. Cuts back 25, 30, 40, 50.
Gone.
40, 45, 30, 35, 20, 10, 5. Touchdown, Cleveland Browns. A 90-yard interception return for Eric Turner. And yes, they're going to get their shutout. You might be a running back too, huh?
The 32-0 victory was the first shutout ever of a Buddy Ryan team.
Game over. Game over.
And put the Browns record at 2-1.
We appreciate it, and we're going to take this win and enjoy it, and come back wins to get ready for Indianapolis. We haven't had much success against Indy in the last few years, and hey, it's time to roll now.
Birdie straight back, dumps it off, complete to Metcalf, breaks a tackle, in the clear, 35, 30, they won't catch him. Touchdown, Cleveland Browns, and is that a way to take the crowd out early? A 57-yard...
Leroy Hord's 65-yard touchdown was the decisive score.
Complete to Hord, he's gone, 30, 20, touchdown, Cleveland Browns, 65 yards as lightning strikes in the RCA Dome.
Well, this has been a big play offense.
And a satisfying win for the visitors, who had the habit of struggling in the Hoosier Dome. With 3 victories in 4 games, the Browns had first place in the AFC Central all to themselves.
Let's go, man. Browns got to win today. Got to. Got to have tough D.
The Browns had precisely that against the Jets, paced by Eric Turner's 4th interception in 5 games.
Trudeau, full drop, steps up in the pocket, throwing deep, middle, intercepted. It's Eric Turner, 40, 45, cuts to the sideline, 50 down the right sideline and out of bounds at the New York 40.
3 turnovers on defense plus 3 rushing touchdowns on offense combined to throttle the Jets.
Testaverde, a delay to Metcalf. He's got it. Turns the corner. 30, 20, 10, 5. Into the end zone. Touchdown, Browns. A 37-yard streak by Eric Metcalf. And Eric goes up to the dog pound, and he is mine.
The play of the day came from Leroy Hord, who broke 4 tackles on his way to the end zone and a 24-0 lead.
And 5. Still on his feet. Touchdown. What a call. Leroy Hord busted straight up the gut, 18 yards. Touchdown, Browns. Wow.
On a day dominated by defense and the ground game, the tightest spiral was thrown to the deserving denizens of the dog pound.
Let's go!
The next game against Houston in the Astrodome, the offense could manage merely a single touchdown. But it held up thanks again to a smothering defensive unit. Under constant pressure, the Oilers were sacked 3 times and gave up a pair of turnovers. Houston didn't score until 28 seconds remained in a game that brought the Browns to 5-1, their best start in 30 years.
There's a big buck kicking contest today, and Cincinnati's supplying the butt.
While the defense ransacked the Bengals line for 4 sacks, the offense chipped in with a pair of touchdowns on the way to a 5th consecutive win.
Number 1, we got them on the run a little bit, all right? They're starting to play a little bit more man coverage. So let's get after their ass, stay after them, just stay after them, and let's keep making plays, all right? We're going to go down and score a touchdown this next drive.
Let's go now! Let's go now, Randy! Do it, baby! Let's go!
The Horde blockers out in front. 10 to the 5, still on his feet. Touchdown, Cleveland Browns. Powerful running by Leroy Horde.
Throwing it
Cleveland's energy was electricity, provided as usual by the special teams.
Here goes the snap. It's high. Pulls it down, and it's blocked. Rolls in the end zone. Travis Hill recovers. Touchdown, Cleveland Browns. The special teams come up big.
A 13-all tie was broken open big time, courtesy of 2 7-point gems from the punt return team.
Metcalf lets it hit at the 50, gets by him to the 40, 35, all the way back to the 30. Now he eludes a man. 35 down the sideline. 50, one man to beat. 40, 45, forget it.
Amazing. How would you like to be beaten today? Eric Metcalf and the Cleveland Browns special teams not only asked that question, but they have an answer for it.
6-1, baby. Going 7-1 next week, baby. That's all I got to say, baby.
We came into this year thinking we had a good team. Thought we could make a big improvement over where we'd been, and right now there's signs of us doing that.
The season's second half began with a wind-whipped game against New England, in which the Browns elected to keep the ball on the ground. Leroy Horde powered for a career-high 123 yards and scored the game's only touchdown on a short pass from Mark Rippon.
Has Horde open. Then Leroy puts it away. Touchdown, Brown.
It wasn't a sure-handed catch, but it'll count.
The win brought Cleveland's record to an AFC best 7-2, with the equally high-flying Eagles next on the schedule.
When I got here this morning, I expected to win this game. You know, anything less would have been a huge disappointment. But even though that we can't take our fans with us next week, I think that the inspiration that we know that we have, the support that we have here, is going to carry over.
We're in a position right now at 7-2 to take on the Eagles, who are also 7-2, and one of the better teams probably at the NFC at this point.
But this is a big game coming up, and that's the way our whole organization is looking at it. We haven't fared too well against the NFC, so that's another reason it's a big game.
It's a big game, certainly. Puts us at 8-2, put us in a great position in our division and in the AFC.
In Philadelphia, a team on a mission to earn respect pounded Bud Carson's normally stingy defense for 140 yards on the ground. The third play of the day set the tone on defense as Cleveland's dogs muzzled a confused Randall Cunningham, whose glittering 20-game home winning streak soon lay in tatters on the Veterans Stadium AstroTurf. This total domination over the team with the best record in the NFC sent a clear message to skeptics. Cleveland was an AFC team that played like an NFC team. And its 8-2 record, now the best in the entire NFL, was no mirage.
I'm certainly excited about the great start that we've had. It's a new experience for me, and I'm looking forward to some bigger and better things throughout this year.
The better things did not occur in Kansas City, where in a rain-soaked matchup with the Chiefs, the Browns played hard but took themselves out of the game with 142 yards in penalties. In spite of this, they led going into the fourth quarter.
Rippon straight back in the pocket. They blitz. Picked up. Throws. Complete to Jackson. 5. Hit. Spins.
Touchdown.
Touchdown. What an effort by Michael Jackson.
Hey, look at this. Hey, they're getting tired. They're getting tired. They don't want none of us no more. We keep working. Put it on there. Our game is that right here. Win this thing.
Now we control the game. Now we control the game.
But the spate of penalties and missed opportunities took its toll. In the final minute, the Browns were driving for what could have been the winning touchdown.
Rippon to throw. Popping, he's hit. Derek Thomas hit him. He fumbles the ball. The ball is loose. Kansas City's got the football. Derek Thomas with the hit on Mark Rippon.
The disheartening defeat dropped Cleveland into a first-place tie with Pittsburgh in the AFC Central Division. The next Sunday, Vinny Testaverde started for the first time since mid-October and prospered behind perfect protection from a line that thoroughly whipped the Oilers up front.
Play action. Looking for Hartley. Open end zone. Touchdown, Brown. A 1-yard touchdown pass from Vinny Testaverde to Frank Hartley.
Frank Hartley and Brian Kinchin caught touchdowns in a 2 tight end attack that rolled up 343 yards. The 34-10 rout improved the Browns' record to 9-3, still tied for first with the Steelers, but not for long. The next week, due to 5 turnovers, Cleveland suffered an unexpected and costly 3-point loss to the Giants, and for the first time dropped behind Pittsburgh in the standings. One trademark of this team was its resiliency, its ability to bounce back after a loss. But their next opponent was Dallas, on the road, not a pretty prospect for keeping their streak intact. Ominously, the Browns' bus was involved in a serious collision on the way to Texas Stadium. The man squarely on the spot was Vinny Testaverde, who was about to play the most important game of his professional career. On the Browns' first series, Vinny appeared equal to the challenge.
Testaverde straight back in the pocket, dumps it off to Hort, has Dawson in front, cuts off his block, 5, loses the ball as he goes into the end zone. There is a scramble. Cowboys say they have it, and they do.
Hort's fumble on the brink of a score was exactly what this team did not need, and it easily could have deflated Cleveland's confidence. But these Browns refused to be intimidated by the caliber of their opponent.
Testaverde looks, timing pattern for Jackson. Corner, he's got it. Touchdown, Browns. Vinny Testaverde.
Well, Vinny couldn't throw it any better.
Browns backers were treated to similar determination on defense. Troy Aikman was hounded all afternoon as Cleveland forced 2 sacks and 4 turnovers.
Aikman in pressure, throwing corner for Harper, end zone, and intercepted by Eric Turner, number 8. And 10 from the 30. Aikman throws, intercepted by Donnie Griffith.
Cowboy turnovers led directly to 3 of Matt Stover's 4 field goals, the last of which gave Cleveland a 5-point lead with over a minute left to play.
Tommy spots it, the kick is on its way, and the kick is good. And the Browns go up by 5, 19-14, with 1:49 left in the contest.
But soon, Dallas was poised for the go-ahead score. It all came down to one final dramatic play.
Here we go. Harper goes wide to the left. Irvin wide to the right. Novacek in motion to the right. Aikman straight back in the pocket. Looks, end zone to Novacek, but he's not in. He's down at the 1-yard line. 3, 2, 1. The Browns have beaten the Cowboys. The Browns have beaten the Cowboys. 19-14 the final. Novacek didn't get into the end zone, and the Browns come down to Big Kaye and come up with a W to move to 10-4, and with a little help tomorrow have clinched a playoff spot.
But it doesn't get much closer than that. At the 1-yard line.
Here we said the Browns had to have a hero, and it was Eric Turner. Who else that didn't let him into the end zone? And the Browns have beaten the Cowboys 19-14.
After their eye-opening victory over the 2-time Super Bowl champions and the second of 3 defeats to the Steelers, Cleveland finished the regular season at home against Seattle.
He rolls right, steps up, throws for Carrier, end zone, wide open, touchdown, Browns, 35 yards. Testaverde to Carrier. Vinny turns, bootleg, rolls right. He can take it in if he wants to, and does. Touchdown, Browns. Vinny Testaverde rolled it in, and now he's walking over to the stands, and he'll give an early Christmas present to the St. Ignatius Wildcat football team in the stands. And what a souvenir they got.
The lopsided 35-9 win gave Cleveland 11 victories, the second most in franchise history, and promised to provide much welcomed impetus going into the NFL playoffs. On New Year's Day, Cleveland made its first postseason appearance since 1989. For most of the youngsters on the team, it was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity.
Time right now, baby. It's time for showtime. Green Green, baby, we will shine today. And we'll be in for the second round of the playoffs. Check us out. Go, Brown!
This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, these two guys.
Against New England, Testaverde's playoff debut was vindication for Vinny, who performed with exceptional composure. At one point, he completed 11 straight.
Let's go! Come on!
And all afternoon played error-free football.
Vinny looking, end zone, now rushed right, has a man open in the end zone, throws, touchdown Browns, Mark Carrier, 5 yards from Testaverde, and the Browns have regained the lead.
Well, he made it happen with his feet. They couldn't cover as long as Vinny was scrambling back there. Mark Carrier coming across the field to find an open spot, and Vinny located him for the touchdown. First one that the Patriots have given up in 7 quarters.
Derek blocked the corner! Blocked the corner!
The first half ended in a 10-10 tie. The second half belonged to the Browns.
Handoff is to Leroy Horde. He cuts it 5. Touchdown Browns! Leroy Horde into the end zone. And the Browns go on top 16-10 with 2:21 remaining third quarter.
Good blocking on the right side of the Browns offensive line. Leroy able to bounce it off, and he found the lane and poured it in. Nice job, Vinny. Good job, man.
Offensively, the Browns had the ball nearly 22 minutes of the second half. Defensively, the Dogs cooled the league's hottest passer with cleverly disguised coverages.
Bledsoe back in the pocket, throws, ball is tipped, ball is intercepted by Turner. Eric Turner comes up big again.
A rattled Drew Bledsoe suffered 3 picks and a sack as the Pats' 7-game win streak came crashing down. After intercepting Bledsoe 7 times in 2 games, the Dog defense deservedly took its bows.
The party has started as the teams start out towards the middle of the field, and the Browns have won it 20-13.
Over 78,000 fans had witnessed a classic matchup between a respected teacher and several of his prize students. On this first day of the new year,
That's a hell of a job this year, Bill.
the pupils had prevailed.
I'll be rooting for you. Nice going. Glad for you guys. Thanks.
Unfortunately for the triumphant Browns, their road to the Super Bowl had to travel through Pittsburgh. But the 1994 season was one of dramatic progress and immense achievement. It was the season the Cleveland Browns returned to the playoffs. The Cleveland Browns put the bite back into their bark last season. And in 1995, they'll come out hungry for a Super Bowl crown. Their chances improved greatly with the signing of the most sought-after free agent in football, wide receiver Andre Rison. One of the most accomplished pass catchers in the game today, the former Falcon and Colt hauled in 486 passes and 61 touchdowns, despite playing for poor teams and a host of mediocre quarterbacks.
Miller back, looks and looks and looks, and he's going to throw a long one, and the receiver is there, and it is complete to the 25, the 20. Rison's going to score on a long bomb.
They view now that they were one weapon away. He's going to give Vinny Testaverde the chance to be big-time successful.
Rison brings the speed to go deep and the deceptive moves of a great receiver.
The bottom line is he's one of the most exciting and potent receivers in the game. Not only is he a guy who will get the ball a lot, but he wants it every play.
Fires over the middle. Rison's got a touchdown. Andre Rison right down the middle of the field. The Falcons lead again.
Eager to pass. Firing. Rison's got it. Rison dives in the end zone. Touchdown.
Back to throw. Floats it in the left corner of the end zone for Rison. He's there. Does he have it? Touchdown. Andre Rison with a great catch. Miller throws fade corner in the end zone.
Rison. Great catch. Touchdown.
if you don't love Andre Rison.
Next year, he plays for Cleveland.
Rison's the best receiver in the league.
Bad Moon Rison, the greatest. Right there, Rison.
He is going to take a lot of attention away from a very young group of receivers.
One of those young targets is Derek Alexander, number 85, with size and speed. The rookie frustrated defenses all season long. He led the team in receiving, and with the addition of Rison, could have a breakout year in '95.
Testaverde rolls right, outside protection, under pressure, throws deep down the sideline, intended for Derek Alexander, who dives and makes the catch.
Oh my goodness, how far did Vinny throw that football?
He has a lot of abilities, a lot of talent. He's a guy that listens and picks up things real quick, and you know, just another weapon that we have on offense to utilize.
Rison's going to be drawing double teams. Rison's going to be a big part of other defenses' game plans. Derek Alexander has a chance to really emerge as a threat.
Like Alexander, fellow first-rounder Antonio Langham immediately made his presence felt in Cleveland. The 9th pick overall, he injected competitive fire and speed in a position that had long been lacking those characteristics. The NFL's Defensive Rookie of the Year was sensational, and with Don Griffin, helped give Cleveland its best corner play since the days of Frank Minifield and Hanford Dixon.
I think Antonio Langham has the type of gunslinger mentality that a corner has to have.
Thanks to Langham's blanket coverages, only one opposing receiver surpassed 100 yards in a game all year. Langham led a rejuvenated secondary by always going to the ball. In one-on-one coverage, Langham was seldom beat. But the mettle of the man was tested on opening day after he was burned early on.
Corner for Scott, touchdown, Bengals. And he beat the rookie, Antonio Langham.
Instead of getting discouraged, Langham got even.
In that situation, the game was tight, and we needed a play to try to get out of it.
Clock moving, minute and a half. Klingler, end zone, and the ball is intercepted by the rookie Antonio Langham.
What a rookie give it to the rookie take it. They said he could make the big play, and he had the great instincts.
I saw it coming on me. My eyes got real big. I was like, there's no way in the world I'm going to drop this one.
He doesn't get down on himself. I think his athletic skills are good enough to make him one of the 5-10 best corners in football.
Langham is just one talent in a backfield that boasts Eric Turner and Stephon Moore, perhaps the best safety tandem in football.
Our two safeties, I like to call them both strong safeties because they come up and they play the run so hard.
Moore delivered punishment to backs and receivers who came his way and is one of the prize free agents signed by Coach Bill Belichick. But it's Belichick's first ever draft choice, Turner, who's moved into the realm of superstardom.
O'Donnell from the shotgun, throws, timing pattern. Oh my, what a lick by Eric Turner, and now the crowd is really rocking. What a shot he took from Eric Turner.
Already known as a hard hitter, number 29 tied for the NFL's interception title with 9 and made his first Pro Bowl as a starter. Turner became a complete player in '94 and is sure to be the defensive catalyst in '95.
Bledsoe straight back in the pocket, has time, throws middle, intercepted by Eric Turner at the 3. Big play by Eric Turner.
I think Eric Turner, as far as being a hitter and intimidator, is to the late 90s what Ronnie Lott was to the mid-80s.
While the secondary was the most improved area on defense in '94, the line was the most improved unit on offense. One statistic alone tells their story. They allowed just 14 sacks all season, tops in the entire NFL. They provided plenty of pocket time for quarterback Vinny Testaverde. The enormous but finely tuned machine was engineered by position coach Kirk Ferenz.
Walter, can you beat his ass? All right, he's going to beat him. Our back is going to beat Marshall. We'll win out here. The back will win here. Tight end will win there. So he can hang in there and throw that ball.
I think we got a lot of depth, a lot of young guys. We got just a great attitude as an offensive line. We're trying to get better each week and try to be one of the best offensive line in the league.
Center Steve Everett was a profile in courage, playing with a pinched nerve in his neck, yet persevering to be the best.
Steve Everett's everything they hoped he'd be when they got him out of Michigan, and probably more. He's a guy that you can run behind up the middle, and when you have a team that likes to do that, that's an invaluable asset.
He has become a tremendous leader by example, a very gutsy player. This guy is probably going to take over in 2 or 3 years from Mark Stepnoski as the best center in football.
While Everett is Cleveland's hard-running diesel at center, left tackle number 66, Tony Jones, will be the team's Mack truck for years to come.
I'm a good player. I think I'm one of the top offensive left tackles in the league, and people just now starting to realize that.
I think he's probably the best pass-protecting left tackle in the league right now. I haven't seen anybody better.
I don't think anybody in America outside of his neighborhood in Cleveland would know what this guy looks like, but he's become one of the 5, 6, 7 best left tackles in football.
Everett and Jones will continue to open holes for running back Leroy Hoard. In '94, Hoard went from role player to playmaker, scoring 9 touchdowns. He carried the load at fullback after injury ended Tommy Vardell's season and gave the Browns the ferocious runner they haven't had since Kevin Mack retired.
Leroy Hoard shakes the tackle and takes it 5 yards for the touchdown. He shook off Marcus Robertson back at the 5 and cruised in untouched.
102 yards on the afternoon for Leroy Hoard on that touchdown scamper.
The thundering Hoard will get some help this ball with the addition of Lorenzo White. A familiar sight to Browns fans, the former Oiler has had some of his biggest games in the stadium. And unlike Hoard, is a sure-handed ball carrier who almost never fumbles. The Oilers featured back in '92 when he gained 1,200 yards. White played part-time for most of the past 2 years. Like the rest of the Browns, he's rested and ready for prime time in '95.
I think Cleveland got better in the offseason simply by virtue of adding Andre Rison. That right there makes them a much better team. But surely they have a chance to contend for that AFC championship, and a better chance than they had last year.
They're a young team. They're a rapidly maturing team. If Hoard can have the same type of year as he had last year, if Vinny can be significantly helped by Andre Rison, and if they don't get a lot of defensive injuries, I think that they have as good a chance as any team in the AFC to get to the Super Bowl.
Marion Motley, 1946 to 1953. Jim Brown, 1957 to 1965. Leroy Kelly, 1964 to the present. I'm Lou Groza. In my 21 years with the Cleveland Browns, I've played with all 3 of these runners. 3 of the greatest in the history of pro football. The tradition of great backs of the Cleveland Browns began since inception in 1946. The first team that Paul Brown had put together, professional football, was composed of football players that either played against or had coached previously. Marion Motley had played against Paul Brown's high school coach teams at Massillon. When he formed his pro football team, he wanted Marion for his #1 boy. Marion wore my old number 76. In those days, I was wearing number 46. He had big thighs and hips. And Paul Brown would tell him, don't be so fancy, just run over him, and that's what Marion Motley did. He used to punish people by running into them, and he was really a brute. And it was his brute strength and speed that really helped make him a great fullback. Incidentally, during Marion Motley's career in the Navy, he was supposedly faster than the world record holder in the 440-yard dash. I can remember best that Pittsburgh game where he, how many guys did he run over? I think about 4 or 5 guys had a shot at him. In 1953, Marion Motley retired. The Browns continued their winning ways with strong runners such as Curly Morrison, Ed Modulewski, Maurice Bassett, Billy Reynolds. And then in 1957, we drafted a runner out of Syracuse. And just after 2 dazzling exhibition games, Paul Brown told him, "You're my fullback." Jim Brown was the Browns' fullback. Football will probably never see another one like him. During Jim Brown's career, he led the league every year except for one. Jim had a knack of hitting for a hole, and if it were closed, to react from where the hole may come open. On his sweeps, he'd start out there, and if they had his predetermined course covered, he would make a cutback on his own and had the necessary reaction and speed to take advantage of it. As an offensive tackle, blocking for these men, it gave me a great thrill to see them run. How was it to tackle them? Let's ask Chuck Bednarik, former All-Pro with the Philadelphia Eagles. He had to tackle both of them.
Tough to tackle? Well, the wider of the two, the broader of the two to wrap your arms around was Marion Motley. If Marion Motley ever picked up steam once he got past the front line and the linebackers, goodbye. Look, it was like a locomotive. I hated to tackle him when he had full speed, because he could break you into two. Jimmy Brown at the same time had a beautiful waistline, 28 inches, 230 pounds, really built. If you wrap your arms around him, it's pretty tough too. You gang tackle people like that.
How do you replace a Jim Brown with a Leroy Kelly? Kelly, who had been operating on our specialty teams and doing a fine job, was a natural selection. He has proved himself, and he is a great runner. Leroy's real true assets as a runner is his ability to get into the hole quickly. You know, those holes don't stay open too long in pro football. Jim Brown was very quick for a big man, but I think Leroy gets to the hole somewhat quicker than Jim. Leroy's a very fine receiver. Leroy is not as big a man as Jim Brown, but he has good balance, and he's not knocked off his feet very easily, and avoids a lot of direct hits, and they don't get a clean shot at him. Kelly, of course, led the National Football League statistically in running last year. We expect Leroy to be great for a long time. I have retired as an active player and have been retained on the coaching staff of the Cleveland Browns. It just might be part of my job to help find that next great runner.